Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with another awesome figure review. Today we are going over the Marvel Legends Xemnu Build-A-Figure Wave Lady Deathstrike Super Villains. If I'm pronouncing Xemnu wrong, let me know, because I have no idea who that character is, and I've been reading comics for a good chunk of my life. So please enlighten me, because I am super curious. And speaking of, I'm just so happy to finally have a Lady Deathstrike. She is a welcome addition to the X-Men line. The super villain line, I don't know. I kind of feel like there was another X-Men wave instead of the super villains, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But nonetheless, if you guys want to pick up this figure or this wave, please first and foremost check with your local comic shop and see if they've got it in stock. If not, they do have it on Big Bad Toy Store for pre-order, which is where I got her, so maybe they got her in early, because I'm still waiting on arcades. So let me know if you guys order and you get it on time, because that'd be awesome. The only other place, well, I think that's it, because I checked Hasbro Pulse and DMW All Things Marvel, and they said sold out. So if you want a Lady Deathstrike, I suggest, getting off the ball and getting on it. So with that said, you get all the look that we normally get with the figure. Sadly, no cool spot varnish. I kind of wish there would have been an X-Men X there, whatever, and then the Xemnu there, which I'm assuming is how you say it. Come around to the side, and for once, I'm disappointed. This art piece, it looks cool, but then you look at her face, and it's just sort of like, oh, what happened there? So for one of those times, it's just kind of a wah, 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 wah. Anyway, come around to the back, you get that same not so good artist rendition, because the face, oh, the face. And then a read up, so I'll make sure to get a close up on the read up so you can read it at your convenience. Same with the figures from the wave, so you can build the Xemnu. You come back around to this side, same creepy art piece. Come back around to the front, nothing on the bottom, already looked at the top. So with that said, let's get one of my favorite villains out of her packaging and get a closer look at her. And here's Lady Deathstrike out of the packaging, and I'm so happy to have this piece in my collection. Lady Deathstrike for me has always been one of my favorite Wolverine villains, even though she's kind of had a weird past, like a lot of Marvel characters, to finally get where they are now. But nonetheless, just looking at this figure, man, this looks like it just jumped right off the pages of a Wolverine comic book. I'm so excited about it, if you can't tell by the inflection in my voice. So there's a couple of things with this figure that can kind of chap your butt, but nonetheless, there's a whole lot to love here. So let's get her off the stand and let's talk about all this goodness and some of the bad. So since Lady Deathstrike doesn't come with any accessories, we'll go ahead and talk about her backstory right quick. She was created by Denny O'Neil and Larry Hama. Her first appearances as Lady Yuriko Oyama, I believe is how you pronounce her last name, was in Daredevil 197 from August of 1983, and then she reappeared as Lady Deathstrike in Alpha Flight number 33 from April 1986. So her father was Lord Darkwind, and he's the one that created the adamantium bonding process that was used on Wolverine for the Weapon X experiment. She was intending to hunt down Bullseye from the Daredevil issue for betraying her father and the person that she loved, and retrieve the adamantium, but instead it led her to Wolverine, which resulted in a really awesome fight in the pages of Alpha Flight. Later down the road, in Uncanny X-Men 205 from May 1986, she uses Spiral's Body Shoppe, and she has adamantium bonded to her own body, and then that's how she gets the cybernetic enhancements. And then another fun little tidbit is she has two other people with her. One's Reese, and I can't remember the other name, that get modified with her. And from what I understand, those are the two Hellfire members that were sliced up from Wolverine back in the Dark Phoenix saga from, I think it was Uncanny X-Men. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say 132, but somewhere in there when they're fighting in the Hell Club mansion. So there's a one to grow on. What happens after that is it leads to the memorable issue Uncanny X-Men 251 from November '89, when she teams up with Donald Pierce, and they end up nailing Wolverine to that X, that wooden X, and Jubilee ends up saving him, which the following issue, she ends up letting Logan and Jubilee go because she sees that they're wounded and she wants to meet as equals on the field of honor. So even though she's on a revenge trip, she grew up in a very rough life, she at least keeps that warrior's code and honor. And she's kind of been an anti-hero throughout the years, but that's just kind of her early backstory. Definitely worth reading. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the paint apps since she doesn't have any accessories. And they really, really nailed it on her. I mean, I remember the first time I saw Yuriko in a comic and I went, whoa, what is up with this character? And they just really nailed it. The only thing that kills me is on mine, I pre-ordered mine from Big Bad Toy Store. And you can't really see it in the light, but I got a paint splotch right there, and I'm probably going to have to take a Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol and gently work that out. It's just like, oh, paint, why must you? They did a really good job on the eyes. I'm glad that they don't look cross-eyed. It was like, woo. The nose looks good. The cheekbones, very, feminine. So, it has a female face instead of a man's face. The lipstick looks really good. Eyebrows look great. Of course, the skull cap looks awesome. Folds the way it should with the head. Hair looks the way it's supposed to. Like this vest. And what's cool about the vest is it's leather. So, you can at least move the character around, which we'll get to in a moment. But I'm thankful for that. Love all the stitching. The silver for her cybernetics look awesome. Skin tone looks good. Spot on. Red bands look good. Of course, the white. Because that's what always made her creepy to me, is how she had these big flapping sleeves and then the big creepy hands, which, again, the adamantium coming out of her fingertips and whatnot. Very spot on. I kind of wish that they would have given you another set of hands for longer, but I'm sure they probably broke the bank with the Build-A-Figure, which, Hasbro, you don't always have to break the bank with a Build-A-Figure. Sometimes we're just happy to get a character that we love and has the accessories needed, especially the face. I mean, yes, the face looks beautiful. They did an absolutely gorgeous job on it, but it's a somber face. Lady Deathstrike's not known for being somber. So it would have been nice to have this kind of more serious face like this, and then a screaming one, so that when you're doing a photography and you have this Lady Deathstrike going up against a Wolverine, they're not going to just have that all like, oh, derp, derp, derp. It kind of kills that in terms of photography. But whatever. Her sash looks good, matches the red. The legs, awesome. Brown paint looks good. No blemishes there, which headband. But overall, very great paint apps. The only thing that I think really would have made this pop, and again, I'm pretty sure they blew the budget on the Build-A-Figure, which, stop it, is maybe a little bit of like a black wash. I think that really could have really enhanced some features. Not a whole lot, because, when you're doing photography, you want to light it yourself, but sometimes they just put a little bit of black wash in the figure, and it really helps pop in the shadows. So I'm going to give a 9 for the paint apps. Really well done and a very great lightness. Now for articulation, you'd think, the simplicity looking of the figure, you'd think, nah, there's not much to it. But surprisingly, there is. And check this out. So we'll start with the head. She can look down that much. And then even with the hair, you can still get her to look up that much. I mean, look at how the hair bends down. That works. The older figures, when they do that, their hair is just hardcore. Like, they sprayed Aquanet, like they're from the 80s or something in there, and you cannot get that type of style. So, woohoo on this character. That is awesome. And as she goes all wibbly wobbly on me, you can turn the head that way, turn the head that way. And of course, you're going to see the joint just a little bit, but, as long as you're creative, you're going to be fine on that one. The arms do spin 360. And just as I was saying a moment ago, because this is more of a soft plastic, you can do it. Just be careful. So you can get it to go up that much, that way. And then she does have an upper bicep swivel here, and then she swivels here as well. So you can kind of get different ranges. So, you can kind of get like a single jointed elbow or more of a double jointed. So thankful for that. Spins at the wrist as well. Goes up. Goes a little bit down, but the sleeve kind of gets in the way. So again, you just have to work with it at your convenience. Does twist that way. Does twist that way. Now, she does not have an ab crunch, but she's very bendy at the waist. So you can kind of get a little bit and a little bit, so you can kind of get some good jumping poses. The front, one thing I will always say is make sure to warm your figure up, because sometimes you can get a little bit more of a dynamic range. Just always be careful in how you do it. Legs go out that much. Now check this out. This is one thing that really excited me. Okay, obvious upper thigh cut, but look at all the grooves in her legs. It almost matches up. So you know how you'll see some figures in that upper thigh cut, even though it's a welcomed addition, it just looks so out of place. I'm glad that they made it a point to line it up with how her legs looked. So very good on you, Hasbro. I am thankful for that. She can kick out that much. And here's another thing that kind of kills me. So last few figures I was talking about how this butt shell piece here was kind of starting to get where you can move it around, like, they made it a little more flappy. Flappy, that sounds wrong. Like loose, not loose. You guys know what I'm trying to say. But, you can kind of get her legs to go out that much, but it's to the side because of the butt flap. So it reminds me of South Park. What's a butt for? It's for pooping, silly. The mole. Anyway, double jointed. Knees, foot go up, or foot go down, foot go up, and then great pivoting. So you get a lot of dynamic range with Lady Deathstrike, and it gives you a chance to be very creative in how you want to make her look, like on a stand or going for like an action pose in photography. Now for comparisons, here's our Lady Deathstrike next to the Wendigo Build-A-Figure Wave Wolverine, and then this big beefy mamma jamma that I call Mr. Beefy, the Azrael from the Curse of the White Knight DC Multiverse McFarlane line, and I still love this figure. We've gone over these two, and I just had to stack them up against Lady Deathstrike. And these two just look great together. This Logan scales just about with all the rest of the Wolverines. So putting these two up in a photography for fighting, or just on a scale, a shelf, you guys are going to have a good time. They're going to look absolutely awesome and relatively, what's that word I'm looking for? Scaled the way they should, proportionately. That's the word we're looking for, proportionately. So awesome. I just wanted to throw Mr. Beefy in here, Azrael, just to show how the 7-inch goes up against the 6 to 6.5 inch line. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. Who wants to bring me a latte? But anyway, you guys are just going to have an awesome time. I'm having an awesome time just sitting here looking at them, talking about them. It makes me want to start playing with them now. But, I'm telling you guys about them, so I don't think y'all want to spend a 20-minute video watching me put in my own imaginary fights. But let me know what you guys think of these figures. If you're excited for this Xemnu wave, if you have the Wendigo wave, if you like Mr. Beefy here or not, I'd love to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments. So everything that we've gone over, I have to say that this is an awesome Lady Deathstrike. I mean, you think about it, because she's on that ball swivel on her hip, I'm okay with that for a female character. The ab crunch, not 100% necessary. I'm glad that her vest there is leather, so that you can at least move the arms around, as where, there's some characters that have that hard plastic and you're just kind of like, I'm not a big fan of that. The other thing that I kind of wish that they would fix, but I can get around, is, the last couple of reviews I've talked about how the butt doesn't look like a butt shell anymore, and you can actually get those legs to pivot out more. Well, she's got the butt shell, so we'll let that be, because it's still a beautiful figure. You can pose her relatively well for, you think, in the simplicity. I love that they put the thigh cut in with all the grooves on her leg so it looks natural. It doesn't look out of place. The only other thing that I wish that they would have done is given her a swappable head where you kind of get that angry Lady Deathstrike instead of this sort of somber look on her face. Because, I mean, her hands look violent, but her face just doesn't scream that she wants to tear the bones from Wolverine to get revenge for her father. So those aside, guys, I'm very excited about Lady Deathstrike. But then again, anytime an X-Men figure comes out, I'm just all over that. That's why I can't wait for Arcade. I think for the rest of the Xemnu line, I personally don't care. If you guys do, please let me know what y'all think about it, because again, if y'all can kind of give me some insight, it always sort of helps change my opinion, hopefully for the good, sometimes for the worse, but you never know, and that's why we like talking with y'all down in the comments. Speaking of, if you guys have enjoyed this figure, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if someone's traded in, and you can pick it up that way. If not, then you can go the other routes that we have talked about. If you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Deathstrike bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. You can come to the channel, and just as I said a moment ago, we love talking with y'all, hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up. Thank y'all so much for stopping by. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.